Hello, Mistral and I are back today for our Monday lives. And we're so excited to talk about your energy levels when it comes to the moon cycles, the moon phases. So, Mistral will be hopping on to join us as we chat about this and how we really use this awareness and what we do with what we know in Planning by Design, our monthly membership for accountability and goal setting, which we have our monthly beginning call tomorrow to talk about goal setting for July. And of course, we'll be talking about the moon phases and how that affects us. Here we go. I'm Astral.
Yay. Here we are. It's been so long.
First quarter moon is coming up this Saturday, right? We just
Mm,
had the new moon on Friday, our new moon in Cancer. So I would love to know, for those of you tuning in live, like, are you aware of how the moon affects your energy? Right. And I've been thinking about things this week of like common knowledge. Like for me, I feel like it's common knowledge. And anyone correct me if this is like, whoa, blow my mind. I didn't know this. Right. As human beings, we're 70% water. The moon affects the tide. So, of course, the moon phases changes our feels, our emotions. The moon that governs emotions and is the leader of Cancer season. So it really is, being in our feels, because yeah, this is really what we're speaking to as one part of our energy cycles in Planning by Design.
that's right. Yes. And I think one thing that's so important that I never knew about for so long because everyone else kind of pushed it away of like, oh, like why would you plan by your cycle or the moon cycle? That doesn't make sense. Is that you said it, the moon is so powerful. It pulls the ocean and gives us high tides and low tides, sometimes twice a day, depending on where we are in the world. And how could it not affect us? How could that energy that holds our earth and our oceans so close not affect us, especially as emotional beings and especially as women?
Yeah.
And I feel like, there's different times in my cycle with the moon that I feel more energized, that I feel a little bit more, maybe my self-worth isn't as high, or maybe I question certain things. And so it's really important for me to be able to go and look at my charts that I've put together for myself that we do have in Planning by Design. Kind of allows me to ground down and release these permissions or these pressures that I need to show up this way, or I need to do this now, or I need to be in this way, when really my cycle is calling me into a different kind of rest cycle, essentially.
Yeah, I've been working with the moon and my energy cycles. Oh my goodness, like 5 years now, because my period was not cyclical enough for me to notice. So I was like, the moon, we know what phase it is. I can look years ahead. It's full moon, new moon, the quarter moons in between. Like, I get this, this works. So noticing it has been a game changer because I used to, especially as a projector, right? Before human design found me being stuck in that hustle culture, the full moon wipes me out. And after the full moon, I was putting so much pressure on myself to show up, to do all this work, to hustle, only to be burned out, to only like recover by the new moon, right? It would take me like a week to pull myself out of burnout just because I was forcing so hard against the natural moon energy. So now that I honor that, I literally put into my calendar light days after the full moon because I know that it's going to wipe me out and I don't want to push myself. I don't want to burn out anymore, right? I've been avoiding burnout for over 4 years now, and it's beautiful. So yeah, so many different ways to work with the moon.
And I think what's important to know is too is everybody's a little bit different, depending on where my cycle falls will depend on whether I sort of feel really energized by the full moon or whether I actually feel a little bit run down by the full moon. So, most cycles are 28 days, mine is not. And so it's a little bit more, I wouldn't say all over the place. It's my cycle, right? It's mine. And so I get to claim it as it is. But what I do notice is that I can now harness because I know when it's coming, I know what to expect, I know how to sort of put my lifestyle around it. It gives me permission to let go of what society has told us, what we've grown up with, which is huge. When you can release that pressure of the hustle culture, and I'm a manifesting generator, so I do have all the energy in the world to do lots of things, but I do still need rest and I do still need time to reflect and go inwards. And I do still need time to just cultivate my own energy and be in my own energy. And so, regardless of kind of what energy type we are, we all want to avoid burnout. We all want to, obviously harness our energy types. And when we do that, it really gives ourselves permission of that self-worth. We're valuing ourselves. And actually, this is a word that I'm really coming around to at the moment. And I know this isn't necessary to do with the moon, but when we can value ourselves and look at our cycles, value ourselves enough to look at our cycles and harness our energy in the correct way, then we are truly able to create the life that we want to create. That gives us permission to do that. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I think just honoring, as human beings, yes, of course, especially as women, to honor those cycles and not put more pressure onto ourselves or more, oh, the other word isn't coming to me, not necessarily pressures, but like more responsibility too, to
Yeah.
do other things or be engaged in other things. It gives us another permission to follow our inner guidance and just kind of accept where we're at in that moment.
Yeah, totally, totally. And so for somebody who's watching who's like moon cycles, like this doesn't make sense to me, or I've never explored that before, but I'm curious. How would you say, besides joining Planning by Design, which where we have all the worksheets for you, but besides that, how would you suggest someone to get started with looking at the moon cycle and sort of tuning into their energy in that moment? And
Mhm.
then now that you've been doing it for about 5 years, how long do you think it took you to understand your
Mhm.
cycle the best?
Ooh, I love this question. Thank you for the invitation.
Mhm.
What can help, first off, is to get a calendar that has the moon phases on it, whether it be like a wall calendar. That's what I have right here. I get it at Dollar Tree. So it's like $1 that I pay for this thing, and it has the moon phases on it. So I've also gone as far as getting Moonology. Yasmin, can't think of her last name. She makes a beautiful like moon journal, and in it is the phases and the zodiacs. And I had that 2 years prior, and I learned so much from that. So, whatever way, whether it be an app, whether you're checking Google, whether it be a paper calendar, like have something that tells you the moon phases so that you're not wasting energy essentially, like trying to go figure it out. And then
Yeah.
I love keeping a journal, right? Like if you're not a journal person, maybe just writing it on a piece of paper, because you want to reflect on each of the moon phases, mostly the new moon and the full moon. If you want to look at the waning crescent and the waxing, into the quarter moons, go for it. But really, like it's the new moon and full moon. Keep it simple. And with each of those, I'll call them big moon phases, right? The new moon and the full moon. The energy of that moon starts 2 days prior and goes until 2 days after. So it's kind of this 4 day window. So I hear a lot of people also being like, oh my gosh, I got to do my new moon stuff like right now. And it's like, no, right. I used to say the same thing, like, I got to do it right now. It's like, wait, I have this really big window. If I'm not feeling it right now because this, full moon has zapped me, I can do it tomorrow. Right. So yeah, just starting to be aware, checking in with yourself, like, where is my energy? How am I feeling? So typically, when we think of the moon phases, right, the new moon is dark. We don't see it. It's that darkness. This can be, some people call it a time for cleansing, to go inward, to do the shadow work, to look at the darkness. Others say that this is a really charging time. So it's really about finding your language for how it affects your unique energy cycle. And I think, Mr. this is where you and I are really different, because the new moon just happened on Friday. Like, it charges me up to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do with all this extra energy? Like, I had a little tantrum this morning. I fell into some bitterness, honestly. Like, I stamped my foot a couple of times. It's because I have all this energy, and like I won't go on a tangent for cancer season in me, but I just had to really honor this is where I'm at. This is the new moon energy that in a way like is not my energy. Like this is here, it's fleeting, it's passing, it's so charged because we're in cancer season, because the moon like has so much power right now. So what do I need to do with this extra charge that I get? And how does the new moon affect you? Do you feel that way or?
I actually feel the opposite of going inward and doing that self-reflection, right? And so like reassessing my energy. And then I get really charged up on the full moon. And it
Mhm.
just turns out that the trip that I went on started right after the full moon. So it was perfect because I had all this charged energy. I was super excited going into this program that I was teaching. And then, as the program went on, my energy progressively got less and less because we just finished basically right on the new moon as well. And so I think it's so neat when you can really look at that and then work your business or your lifestyle around the moons and understanding that. And I think what can be dangerous with being online is that, people will tell you the new moon is for this, the full moon is for that, but really it can mean different things for everybody. And that's why we ran Planning by Design, because it's all about coming back into yourself and
Mhm.
into your own energy and understanding who you are as a person versus being told, right? Because I shouldn't say we always, it's easy to give our energy away to others who we think have the answers when really we know what's best for ourselves, but we haven't been taught to do that. And so I think that's what's so unique about you and I, Jen, is we're teaching women to really own that and understand their cycles and understand, okay, someone else says the full moon charges them, but I don't feel that. So what's happening for me? And how can I tune into that energy and best serve myself, my family, my community, wherever you are sort of in life, to be the best version of yourself during that time, whatever that is. And when you do that, you accomplish so much more. And I'm not going to lie, I was resistant to all of this, less than 5 years ago, maybe even less than 4 years ago. Like this is all kind of it's stuff that I was like into, but not really fought. Like, oh yeah, that's cool, but never really did it, if that makes sense. And then when I started doing it, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty life changing when you take the time to do it. But as a manifesting generator, I was always so like, gotta move on to the next thing, gotta move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, two of the very first questions that I'll ask anyone that I work with is how is your energy geared towards the new moon or the full moon? Like, I really want to know, just so when we're talking about life, business, all these things, that they're not trying to put more on their plate during that phase when they're
Hmm.
feeling drained. And then the other question that I always ask them and really look at is, are you a reflector? Are you in human design a reflector energy type, or are you a conscious or unconscious reflector? So I'm a conscious reflector, and any reflector, whether you be a quantum type or conscious or unconscious, you are a lunar being, right? That lunar authority that that reflector has of waiting those 28 days, of feeling the moon cycle, of riding that energy to gain clarity for the answers to reveal themselves, is what it's all about. So if you have a reflector quality, like you need to be working with the moon. And all of my clients who have reflector qualities who do work with the moon, it is, I mean, we're talking about how working with the moon can help everyone, especially women, especially in business, what we're doing in planning by design. But if you are a reflector, like, and you feel off, you're trying to find balance, like you're just not sure what's going on, like start working with the moon and things are going to start making so much more sense. Like you have to be working with the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a good piece of advice for reflectors because I feel like if they're out of sync and they don't understand how to come into sync with that, it's such an easy place to start and just taking notes on how they're feeling. And it just could be something simple each day. Good,
Yeah.
high, low, energy's low, energy's high. How
Right.
can I
Even
embrace
from
it?
0 to 10, right? Rate your energy on a scale from 0 to 10 to see how much energy you have. And right, your type, what we did on our last live, which feels like last month, which it probably was in June,
It was
talks more about honoring that energy cycle. So as we continue to do our lives about these different energy cycles that we work with, it's really about bringing them all together to find balance within it. Because, Mr. L, as we're talking about like the work stuff, right? You know, me being exhausted after the full moon, for you being charged up and having your retreat, like from that, I just hear how important it is when it comes to launching. Like if you're planning a
Yes.
launch, I've made the mistake too many times to count and have launched something on or after the full moon, and like it doesn't bring in any income because I'm just repelling. Like my energy
Yeah.
is so drained. Like I don't want to work with anyone.
Right. The whole idea is right, is we become magnetic. And so we follow our energy to become magnetic, whether we're projector, manifestor, manifesting generator, generator, whatever, reflector. We harness our energy to become magnetic. But then if we're going against our cycle flow, well, then that doesn't make sense, right? So it's like we're kind of bringing in our energy, our cycle flow, the moon. And so with these three components, let us know if we're forgetting anything. Anyone who's watching this who's like, wait, you forgot about this. But with those three components brought together, it really creates such a solid foundation for you to grow and shift and move and create from. One of our clients in Plan by Design just dropped in our Telegram group about how she just was able to release so much pressure because she wasn't in like a building or creative phase. And she was just like, oh, I don't have to do XYZ this week or within the next 2 days because I know in the next 4 days, my energy is going to be on the rise. It's going to be growing. And that's when I'll be able to draw on that magnetic energy to put out into the world to create what it is that I want to create. And I thought that was just so beautiful. It's so exciting when you see women getting it and understanding it and then clicking that their permission is now theirs to grant themselves versus anybody else's. And that's super empowering.
Yeah, and just the magic that comes with that, right? That law of attraction, that now they're in this great place to attract, they're doing things, they're getting off that plate so that they can just be in their energy. And that's when manifestations start to happen too. It's just like I'm so excited to watch this client's like month unfold, especially tomorrow when we have our planning call and we plan out July to our individual unique energy cycle. So then we can hold everyone accountable to that uh, in all the ways to finish the month out strong.
Totally. And I'm just going to show a really quick snapshot. People might be able to see it here, but this is like our planning sheet. You can't get a lot of information. It's small, I know, but this is what you get to fill out every week when you're in Planning by Design. And it gives you all these tips and tricks as to what to actually implement in your life, in your business during these phases. And you get to adjust and tweak them based on who you are, which is so beautiful, and what you're creating. And that's what Jen and I are here for. We're here to help guide you through that process. And then the group and Telegram are super supportive of each other, and they're dropping voice messages and they're connecting and they're having their own one-on-ones. And that's what's so beautiful is the community that's coming out of it, of these women who are all looking to live their dream life and creating something within the online space, which is so great.
And I love just seeing the, especially with Cancer, the new moon was really about sisterhood. Like within this Telegram group, there's a lot of sisterhood being cultivated. Like one woman has the answer that another woman doesn't, or to see things differently because we have this group of different energy types too, different knowledge that we all possess. So it's very cool to see, someone, having a question or being like, this is what's holding me back. I need accountability on this, and just gaining clarity from someone else's experience or just info that can help that person be like, oh, I really don't need to do this. Like, let me just put this off my plate. Or, wow, there's the solution that I've been looking for. You just saved me like hours.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the best part, right? When you can be in a community of women who are all kind of doing similar things and find that sisterhood, you get to
And
skyrocket.
the fact, like, I just always love talking about this. The fact that this group is $11 a month. Like, it is
Yeah.
such a low price right now to get in as we've started this and get these worksheets, like to use and plan these with these worksheets. Like, those in and of themselves are absolutely worth more, I think, than $11. So to come into this group, get the worksheets, get the information, get the expertise from myself and Mistral, get this sisterhood group for $11 a month. Like, no
So
brainer.
good. No brainer. So drop the words planning by design if you want to know about that, or go to the links in our bio. We're happy, or DM us. We're happy to have a conversation around it. But we're here for you all, and we're not here next week, but we'll be back the week after, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper, I believe, into our like period cycles and talking about syncing that with the moon, with your energy, and how we utilize that in the Planning by Design membership.
And we have our call tomorrow to do goal setting, like I mentioned before.
Yes,
So
yes.
if you are able to join today, click that link, join. You'll be able to join us on Zoom tomorrow, Tuesdays at noon, to plan out the rest of your month. I mean, I've been on vacation this month, kind of so have you, even though you've been working. So I'm excited to really plan out my month in the very small, low way that this projector works during Cancer.
Oh, and especially during summer, right? We all get so busy in summer. We want to enjoy summer. And so let's make it easy. This is going to
Yes.
make it easy and breezy. And that's what we all
Yes.
want.
Beautiful. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you in 2 weeks talking about yet again another cycle that planning by design helps you be aware of and master and bring manifestation into your life.